Welcome to our practice test for topic 2 assessment, which we will have Friday. So short classes today, we'll see what we get through today, and then we'll finish up tomorrow. So expect this to look very similar to the test. I may monkey around with a few of the questions based on feedback you guys give me. If any of them are particularly are worded differently or need to be changed any, I can change some on the actual test. But expect that the test is going to look very much like this. Okay? For number 1, when it says what is the graph of y equals 2x plus 3, notice that there is no designated x and y, x or y axis, correct? So you need to make your x and y axis, and for this graph, it'd probably be okay just to make the left side and the bottom of the graph the x and y axis. But if it ends up being a different graph that doesn't fit, like if this is my y axis here and this is my x axis, but then the graph doesn't fit because it needs to go into quadrant 2 or quadrant 3 or something, then you need to make the axis in the appropriate place. So you might want to make like your axis here and here or something, right? Just whatever works best for the test. So this one, I'm okay with this one being, that's your x and that's your y. So y equals 2x plus 3. So if this is 0, 0, then we'd go 1, 2, 3. That's our y-intercept, right? And then a slope of 2 would be up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1. And so that works this graph, okay? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. All right. So you need to be able to graph a slope-intercept equation. All right, since I'm just kind of writing on a small portion of the screen here, I'm going to have to erase every one of them as we go along. And then I can do this. All right. Number 2, which of the following is an equation of the line through 3, -1 and -2, 14? There's a couple of approaches you can take to this, and I'm okay with whatever approach makes the most sense to you or works best for you. One approach would be simply to put the x and the y values into each equation and see if they work. Now that's going to be a lot of math you have to do because you've got to check both ordered pairs for each equation until you find it. And that's okay if that's the way you want to do it. Or we can use those 2 ordered pairs to find the slope, then use one of the ordered pairs to find the y-intercept, or use point slope form or something like that, and then solve for it. Whichever way works best for you is fine. So I'm going to find the slope, and then we're going to write the equation. So what is my equation to find the slope of a line? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that would be 14 plus 1, since it's minus a negative, over
-2 minus 3.
-2 minus 3.
So -5.
15 over 5.
So that would be 15 over -5, which is -3. So my slope is -3. Have I eliminated any? Okay, so I've eliminated some stuff, right?
Eliminated all the stuff.
Okay, so this one's a slope of 1/3. This one's a slope of -1/3. This one's a slope of +3. That leaves us with D. So there you go. So that turned out to be a really simple way to do it. We didn't have to go any further and actually write the equation. But I had a plan in place for what I would need to do next, right?
Yeah, I was going to figure out what you
Okay. All right, next question, number 3. Each day, Lourdes reads 30 pages of a 450-page book. Write a linear equation to represent the number of pages Lourdes has left to read after X days. So 30 pages per day. Okay, so I'm gonna wanna multiply 30 in x, right? Okay. This one's a little bit different as a slope-intercept equation.
Do we still have to do the slope intercept, or can we just write it how we?
Well, you could, there are other ways you could write it. Slope-intercept is the way that came to mind for me, but, there are other ways you could write it. So if I'm reading 30 pages a day, am I adding those pages, or am I'm actually taking them off the total, right?
Y equals negative 30 plus 450.
Negative 30x plus 450. And if you just set that equal to y, that's your total number, or that's your pages remaining. So y equals negative 30x plus 450 works. Did anyone write something different, or think of a different way to do it?
I mean, if you move if you switch it around, it's technically the same thing, but.
Okay. Kurt?
For question 4 then, would
Oh,
that be,
okay, hold on. Are we done with question 3 though?
are we?
I mean, is this the way we want to write it? Did anybody
Yeah.
have any questions on that? Okay, question 4 goes back to question 3, so, okay, go ahead with your question 4.
Would it be pages already read, or pages read each?
Pages in the book.
Or no,
So
not-
for the-
Not pages read, yeah, in the book.
For the graph of the equation you wrote in item 3, what does the y-intercept represent? So that's the y-intercept.
It's the pages in the book.
That's how many pages the book has.
It's actually days it takes to finish the book, obviously.
I'm gonna punch you in the
Cooper's
face.
talking.
Pages in the book. All right. All right. Number 5.
That's fine.
There you go, man.
What is an equation of a vertical line that passes through -2, -9? This was the one yesterday where I said if I could pop your brains open like a pop can and pour something in there, one of the things I would choose to pour in is how to handle vertical and horizontal lines, because those always tend to be the most confusing things, or some of the most confusing things for students to deal with, even though once you get your brain wrapped around it, they're really the easiest thing to deal with. They're the easiest form of an equation. A vertical line looks like this, right? Okay, and it always, are you listening?
Oh,
It always has an equation with x equals a number. Okay, now the question is, what number does x equal?
Negative 2.
It's gotta be -2. That's got to be the equation, x equals -2, okay? That's always the equation for a vertical line, x equals a number. It can't be anything else.
And that's it.
Okay, and that is considered to be a standard form equation, by the way, because the a value is 1, the b value is 0, and we have a c value, so that's a standard form equation.
So that's it.
Okay, that's it. That's all you can do. Okay, so then, what would our horizontal line that goes through that point be? The horizontal line, and that's gonna be y equals -9. Horizontal lines are always going to be y equals a number. This, you can consider it to be standard form again, or you can call it slope-intercept also, right? It kind of works for either of those forms. So, it's just wrapping your brains around that, seeing it. When you see when you see the word vertical, automatically think it's going to be x equals something. It's got to be x equals something. Okay, when you see the word horizontal, you automatically think it's y equals a number. Okay, and that just makes life easy once you wrap your brains around that and you can remember. Okay, all right, we good?
Sure, you can say that.
All right, number 6. I'll switch over to this side now. For which values of a, b, and c will ax plus by plus c, or equal c, be a vertical line through the point 9, 3? So I want to end up, if it's a vertical line, what is my equation going to look like? I want x to equal 9, right? So if we think of the equation, what does a need to be?
X.
1.
1.
A needs to be a 1 times X, right? What does B need to be?
0.
Z needs to be 0, so it goes away. And then what does C need to be?
9.
C needs to be 9. Okay, so here C is 9, can't be these two. B needs to be 0, can't be this one. And so A needs to be 1, it's gotta be C. Okay? You good with that? That, I mean, again, because I know what vertical line means, and I knew real quick what the equation for a vertical line would look like, that made the rest of the problem super simple, right? But if I didn't know what a vertical line was, I've got some work to do to try to figure this one out. You with me on that? So if I was writing down notes to study for tomorrow, I would make sure that a description of vertical lines and horizontal lines is in there for the test, okay? All right. Number 7, write what is an equation in point slope form of the line shown in the graph using point -2, -1. So they give us, you know, a line that has, it's got several points, but they tell us to use -2, -1, which is this one right here, okay? So now I just need to use the line to find the slope. So how do I find the slope of a line given a graph? Rise over run, count it. So from here to here is down 2, right 1. So my slope is gonna be -2. Everybody good with that? If you don't understand how to count the slope, now's the time to ask. Okay, so -2 is the slope. Point slope form, I'm just gonna write out the form of the equation is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So your equation just needs to fill in the blanks. Y plus 1 equals -2 times x plus 2. And just leave it like that. Since it says point slope, just leave it. Don't do anything else with it.
Coincidence this time that the slope is -2, or will it always be like that?
Well, this line has a -2 slope, so,
Is it just a coincidence because it's also in it's also the ordered pair?
oh yeah, that's just, that, there's no significance to that at all.
I figured.
Yeah, it's just coincidence. All right, number 8.
Oh, that's just the same thing, but they give you
Keep
the
shot.
numbers.
Oh, so the equation of the line that passes through the point -210 and has a slope -4. So,
Look at the
And-
like A and C. There, like the slope is not negative.
okay,
it can't
so
be-
yep, we're looking for a negative slope, so I can cross out A and I can cross out C.
And you need to
And
subtract
then
the
you can
10,
cross out B because it had
a positive 10.
positive 10.
Okay, so they swap the signs on the one that's wrong. They swap the signs.
It's D.
So it's got to be D because this should be a +2 since that's negative, and it should be a -10 since 10 is positive.
I just wrote out the equation.
So yep, that's not a bad thing to do, by the way. Write out the equation yourself before you look at the answers and find the one that matches your correct.
This is like the same thing, except for we have to figure out the slope for ourselves.
Got to find the slope first. Okay, so let's find the slope. M equals 5 plus 4 over 2 plus 1.
So it's 9 over 3.
9 over 3, which is 3. So the slope is 3. Well, I already knew that. The slope is 3 on all of those, so that would have been handy to look at.
And
Then all we gotta do is fill in the ordered pairs.
It
So
can't
they-
be A or B because those both have 1 first and it needs to be 4 first. And it can't be
So it's
C.
C.
Oh wait, yeah. it's
Okay,
C.
so it can't be A because it has an X, this is an X value and this is an X value. That's the 1 and the 1, so it can't be those. And then it can't be, which one?
D.
D.
Because that's negative. It needs to be
Because
positive.
that should be positive for the Y, which should be Y plus 4, so it's gotta be C. So really, we really didn't even have to do the slope, although it didn't hurt us any, it was a good review. But if you look at it and they all have the same slope, then all you gotta do is start looking at ordered pairs, okay? All right, hey, we're making good time here.
Did you write? Oh, yeah.
Everybody good with page 1?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
All right.
Alright, it's just the
We've
same
only
thing,
got
but in
10
numbers.
minutes left. Let's go.
That's all right, well, we got all day tomorrow too.
Got a minute per problem.
So what is the graph of 4x plus 8y equals 16? So how do we find, what tool do we use to graph a standard form equation?
The,
Colin?
Right.
Oh,
Oh,
the
the chart.
T-chart, what values are we using?
X and Y.
But what value for x?
0.
0 for x and a 0 for y. We're gonna find the intercepts, right? Okay, so 4 times 0 plus 8y equals 16. Oops, that's 16. And so that would be 8y equals 16, y is 2. I'm okay with that.
And then x equals 4.
Oops, that's 2.
Yeah.
Okay, and then if we put a 0 in, so it'd be, okay, so I'm still gonna, I'm showing some work here, it's okay. 8 times 0,
The government see it.
whoops. I am the government, what are you talking about?
Technically,
Equals
he works
16.
out public schools, he's
Yeah,
paid by the
I
government.
4x equals 16, so x equals 4. Okay. All right. So, again, notice that on this graph there are no axes, right? So, what if this was like 4x minus 8y and it gave us a negative number for one of our intercepts, and we just made this, if we were just assuming this is x and this is y, and this is the origin right here, right? Then if we end up with a negative number, we got nowhere to put our line. So you may need,
Those are backwards.
You actually would have,
Oh.
because you would have the.
I put x and y in the wrong place, sorry.
Yeah, that is actually the negative.
I don't think I've ever done that before. All right,
so
so as I say a billion times a year, the only reason I don't want to make mistakes is because I know it confuses you guys. I'm okay making mistakes in math, everybody does it. So, x and y, this is the origin. If one of these numbers was negative, now it doesn't fit on my graph, right? So you may need to adjust your graph so that you can fit your numbers. Don't do this and then put like a dot over here somewhere and say your line goes like this. I will not count that correct.
Oh no.
Okay? You have to adjust your origin and your axes to make it work. Okay, so, but it's gonna work here because I've got 0, 2, and, whoops, inadvertent mark on my graph, 4, 0. Actually, that's a pretty poor,
Can you move your head? And you're literally directly blocking me.
Oh.
that's a pretty poor looking graph, to be honest with you. I'm going to adjust my axes. And I'm gonna make them here,
Let's put it down the first question.
okay? And so now if I do 0, 2 and 4, 0, more of the line fits on the graph, right? About right there.
How do you know where it comes from?
Because I counted the slope. The slope from here is up 1, right 2, or up 1, left 2, up 1, left 2. So I went up 1, left 2, up 1, left 2, and then I knew it would need to be halfway right there.
Bennett is just a genius doing questions.
Well, I've graphed a few things
Okay.
in my 51 years of life.
Doesn't work.
Sometimes they don't work.
wait, wouldn't you
Like,
with
whatever
that
you
line
fix the
formula,
x and y.
you'd be able to like take away 4x from each side of it, 8y equals negative 4x plus 16, and then divided by 8.
I really
So
don't
y
know how to solve
equals
that.
8.
Which is 1/2, negative 1. It would be negative 4, right? Negative 1/2 over
No.
plus 2. Yeah, I mean you could put it in a different form.
Um,
But
I'm gonna do that.
is that?
well, hey, shh.
I'm pretty sure I saw where you.
So you guys are talking and not listening. The question was, can't you just put it in slope intercept form and graph it that way? Yes, you can, and I'm okay with that. So if you change it to slope intercept form, you'd come up with y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2. I mean, that's what it would solve out to. And so, it would be okay.
So is that the answer?
This is the graph.
Okay.
And whether you do it by showing intercepts or graphing changing its slope intercept, I'm okay with either. As long as you do it somehow and don't just slap a line up there that, you gotta show me some work. Show me how you did it. All right, number 11. So write the equation in standard form for the line that has x-intercept 6 and y-intercept -2. So
So it's 6x minus 2y.
So x, y, 0, x-intercept, y-intercept -2, and x-intercept of 6. Okay? I should have saved the last equation so we could look at it. I'm gonna back up a ways. Okay. Change color. So write the equation in standard form of the line that has x-intercept 6, 0, and y-intercept 0, -2. What are we gonna do with that?
Now,
Isn't that,
math it.
isn't that 1/3? Wouldn't that be?
What's there?
Um,
So if we give us the
negative.
x and the y-intercept, we just need to like do a little change.
we can find the slope, we can find the slope and we can get it in a slope intercept form very easily because we already know the y-intercept, all we gotta do is find the slope. Okay, and slope is just, we've got two ordered pairs right here to use in our formula, and it's gonna be two really simple ordered pairs because they both have a 0 in them. Okay, so if we do the slope formula here, it's really simple. It's y2 minus y1, -2 minus 0 over 0 minus 6, which is -2 over -6, so that's positive 1/3.
Told you.
Okay, so the slope is positive 1/3 plus, I mean, there are other ways, if you're comfortable enough with the equations, you can observe that. Okay, so slope is 1/3, I know the y-intercept is -2. So the slope intercept equation is gonna be y equals 1/3 x minus 2. You with me? Okay, now I've got to get it into standard form. So standard form, I need the x and the y to be on the same side, and I can't have a fraction. So how do I get rid of the fraction first of all?
The opposite reciprocal.
So I can multiply this thing by 3 to get rid of the fraction first of all, so I'm not dealing with any fractions, right? So that would be, and I'm, dang it, I'm running out of room here. Hold on just a second. Ah. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay. So 3y equals x minus 6. What do I need now to do to get it into standard form?
You just moved a bunch of numbers around, so it's 3x.
No.
No, it's x.
3y, all I did was multiply by 3.
Isn't it x plus 3y equals -6? Or negative x?
I was gonna say, we've gotta get x to the other side. So negative x plus 3y equals -6. There it is.
We multiplied it by 3.
To get rid of the fraction, we can't have a fraction, it's gotta be whole numbers, gotta be integers.
So then we have x, okay, and then we have minus x, okay.
And that meets our definition, doesn't it?
Yes, I think so.
That works.
I don't understand.
All right, bell's about to ring, we don't have time to finish, so we'll wrap up tomorrow.
Okay.
Out there, you want